That's what we
Uh,
think with Connie and Steve. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Con, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
We've been doing this for a while, and it's been a journey, and
Yeah,
I'm it's we are. I mean, if you listen to us when we first
I know. I
started,
should really hear the first one again.
I know I love this. I love that it's changing, but
Yeah.
today as I think we've told people that Connie and I, before we start doing our podcast, we always have a little bit of a chat, and it's either something funny or something ridiculous or something that makes us something that upsets us, and we commiserate and we
Yeah.
share our we share that with each other, and that's what makes this work because
Hmm.
this is what we've done. This is what we used to do back in high
Our
school, and
whole
you wouldn't
lives.
think exactly. You wouldn't think that even the 15-year-olds or 14-year-olds would have that bond, just immediately know how to be around each other, but it was, and it was natural, and it was just the way that we were and the way that we are, and this is a celebration of that friendship, and I just need to really put that out there, of how we are, and sometimes I think, were we this is about the past now, past lives, because this is what we're going to be talking about a little bit today.
Hmm.
And I think, okay, so what were we? Was it in a different form? Like, were we? How did this friend? Like, what would this friendship would have been like in a past life,
Could
or
have been
what we were in a
siblings.
past life, right? Siblings, maybe. Who knows? Married? Who
Married,
knows? It could have
possibly.
been in so many different forms,
I
and
could have been your dad.
yeah, or it could have been your
Like,
mom, or an
yeah.
aunt, or an uncle, or a cat. Who knows? Or a dog. But I mean, this is what makes this topic really interesting. But I also actually want to learn a little bit more. And I know Connie's miles ahead of me in this particular topic because I'm curious to know what she can tell us. What do you
Well,
know a
there's
little bit?
so many people that do believe in past lives
Yes,
and
yes.
so many different religions. You have Hindus,
Buddhism.
the Jewish religion
Yeah.
believes in past lives. I believe most indigenous people believe in past lives as well.
Yeah. I said Buddhist,
Um,
right? I did say Buddhist. Yeah.
yes, Buddhists
Yes. Yeah.
absolutely believe in past lives. Um, so it's not like it's just uh the new age spirituality type of sector that believes in that. It's been around for as long as
Or
humanity has been around, right?
yes, reincarnation is
Right.
another word for it, right? That word we
Exactly.
use. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, have
Oh
you
yeah,
ever
it's been around for
yeah. Yeah, it's been around for a real long
generations.
time. Have you ever
Egyptians?
been regressed?
No.
So there's something called past life regression. It's almost like hypnosis. And supposedly, you can travel back to see certain past lives. I've had it done once by, strangely enough, Emily's guitar teacher's wife.
Oh,
I don't know
right.
if it was actually done
Right.
or if it was just thoughts in my head. I remember it as if it was a dream, which is
Well, what
strange. She brought me back to 3 different past lives, and it was kind of like you're sitting there relaxed, going through the process of hypnotism. Have you ever been hypnotized before?
no,
No.
never.
So they just kind of talk you through
Right.
relaxing, breathing,
The whole technique
the whole
of
technique of being almost hypnotized. It was similar to that. So the very first life that I saw, and again, the reason I don't know if this is because I've always felt like this was a past life of mine. I've always felt a very strong connection to Judaism. So in this first past life, or the most recent past life, was in Auschwitz. And I'm in line for something, and the person in front of me is being yelled at. I can feel the anxiety and anxiousness, and even now as I'm telling you, I can kind of feel strange prickly energy, um, of, I guess, fear and, like,
As you would.
as you would.
It's a
Yeah,
terrible that's a terrible space to be in.
yeah. So, this is and I can see everything around me, I
Yeah.
can and again, am I in this past life, or am I just visualizing things that I know of that you know what I mean? Who
Right.
knows?
Right.
Then, uh, she brings me further back. She said, "You're in a rowboat, you're rowing down this river to your next past life. That's part of getting from one life to the next." So the next one is something again from my childhood that I had always loved and looked at. There's this castle in Germany. It's the most pretty castle. And I used to look at pictures, and I don't even know where I was looking at this picture of this castle, an encyclopedia or something. But I remember seeing this castle. And there's this long bridge like road on the edge of a mountain that leads to this castle
Right.
in Germany. Anyways, I'm in this beautiful carriage being brought to this castle, and all I can see is my skirt, the tip of my silk shoe that has this embroidered flowers all over it, really pretty.
Right.
And I'm going toward this castle. I don't know if I live in this castle. I just know
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
going to it. And then she gets me out of that one. And now she brings me to this next life. I think it's England, but I'm a little boy and I'm running down this grassy knoll and with a forest on one side. And I'm running with my brother down this worn path toward a village, houses with thatched roofs.
Okay.
And then I wake up and I can see these things. Like, even as I'm telling you them right now,
Yeah.
I can see them as if I was recalling a dream. And my dreams are very vivid. They have,
Right. We've
color and everything. So
yeah.
to me, it was like a dream, each
Did
of them.
did you before you embarked on this journey with this woman, because I don't know what
Angela.
to Angela, did she go over with you what it will entail or what it might entail, the highs and potentially the dangers, that sort of situation before you started doing this?
No,
Okay.
no. She asked for my permission.
Right.
We had always talked about this stuff. She considered herself a witch.
Okay. Okay.
She would do Reiki and she had crystals all over the place. And her presence, her energy, I just loved. I loved being in her presence.
Yeah.
There's something about her that was just so relaxing and calming and everything. So I was very
Relaxed.
relaxed and comfortable
Right.
and open to
Open.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The reason why I asked is because I was when you talked about this topic, my mind instantly goes to, oh God, because I don't know if this is really something that I really want to get into.
Mhm.
Because, instantly when people talk about these type of things, immediately the wall goes up because they think it's hocus
For you
pocus.
or for
Me,
them?
me in general, I do. Like I did absolutely subscribe to the belief that, oh, good Lord, this is like la la la, head in the clouds, hocus pocus, airy fairy, just things that I generally don't really believe in, because we've talked about uh, what was it? I can't remember one of the topics that we talked about where I was like, this really isn't my thing. Oh, going to see a psychic,
A psychic.
right? So, but what made this a little different is because there's things in your life that you think about, and you're like, why do I love this so much? I must have been something in a previous life. Like
Mhm.
for me, I used to say, well, maybe I was Indian in a previous life because I love curry. I could eat it every single
Me
day.
too.
And but there's also other parts where it's like, well, why is it that my partner's Italian? Majority of my closest friends are Italian. And I think, was I Italian in a previous life? And I laugh, but I'm like, I wonder. Just and things like that, where I would never ever prescribe to them before. So I went online just
Did
to do
you
a little
go
bit
to
more.
Italy?
Yeah, yeah. I went to Rome. Loved it.
Yeah. So when
Loved
you
it.
oh, just Rome?
Yeah, because I was only there for a couple of days before I had to take off to
Oh,
somewhere
okay.
else. But long enough for me to get a taste and instantly felt comfortable. Instantly. I absolutely loved it. It was and it's obviously Rome is not Italy. Rome is just
Yeah.
part of
No,
Italy.
no, no,
You
no. That's
cannot
why I
judge.
asked if you went anywhere else.
No, 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 no. But I am very excited to see it. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh God, I really want to go
We should
back.
go together.
Oh, that would be a trip. I was supposed to go for my honeymoon. That's
Mhm.
that's that's the plan. So are you gonna
Yeah.
come along with me and Jim?
Well, maybe not on your honeymoon.
After, right, right. But
I just,
but
unless you guys really want me there, I could,
hey,
J
Steve and Jim. Oh, and
Jim
this is
might
Connie.
Jim might have something else to say about that.
He
He's like
might.
he might be like, "I love you, Connie,
Oh,
but not that much."
but the whole point of that is that it made me start to think a little bit more about this topic. So I went online just to read, and you talked about Reddit, and you said it's not
Mhm.
typically that you tend to go on to look
Yeah.
at stuff. Neither do I, but now you got me looking at it, and it's not by any means a site that you should use as a template
No.
for what you want to find. However, there was something that I found about reincarnation, and it talked about how there are two sets of it says akashic records, astral
Mhm.
and mental, and the mental akasha is highly accurate, but no human can get to it unaided. And there has to be deep spiritual need that is beyond human reasoning and rationale. And there are very good reasons why we do not remember our past lives. Trying to game the system is not only dangerous, it can cause significant harm. So they say you're far better developing ongoing back and forth communications with your conscience for what you want to know. Sit quietly using your heart and mind. Find a way to the past. And I take that, despite, again, what may sound like a hocus pocus, I do believe that there is absolute benefits to listening to that sort of warning
Mhm.
about trying to explore your past life or whatever it is that you've encompassed or what you believe is your past life. Because you could be opening doors that really have may not have a right to open without
Mhm.
significant help to pull you out of it. And I just wonder, well, what is that supposed to mean? Does that mean we're going to end up insane? I don't know. Like, is
Yeah.
there potential? I don't know. But I
I don't know.
do
I
like,
think
go ahead.
well, I think the reason that why I think we don't fully remember our past lives. And I say fully as in there are times where
Yeah.
you will remember things
Yeah.
or they will feel as if it's a memory or familiar. And then young kids, that's a whole other story. Um, but we have lessons to learn within each life. You have your karma that you pull from. It is believed, not everyone believes it, but that you have karma that you pull from one life into the next that you have to reconcile with. And sometimes with remembering, maybe it would be easier to repair that karma, maybe. I don't know. Don't think that there's a danger to it.
Do you think it could be also there's a desire to visit it because it's also a form of grief to a life that you didn't live? Do you know what I mean? And you're seeking knowledge about that life. That's just my interpretation of this. God knows there are so many movies out there that delve into this topic of past lives or reincarnation. There's a lot, actually, I'm surprised. Which tells me that there is human interest in this
Oh, absolutely.
particular aspect of our lives. And it just goes to show that the whole idea of trying to connect with some aspect of our lives, be it in a spiritual form, is very strong. There's absolutely the question is what's the benefit? Well, what do we get out of this? So you talked about earlier, you just mentioned how you were thinking about, oh my God, the Holocaust. And then also then it delved into you becoming a princess of some sort. Or just you running with another brother down this hill.
Mhm. None of
Where
it
do
taught me anything.
Isn't that interesting? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
none of it taught me anything.
What did it show you? If you can even ask that, does it show you
No,
anything?
one showed me a happy life because I was very happy running through that field. One showed me a privileged life, and one showed me the complete opposite of that.
Terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
However, I don't think there was nothing that I would have learned from it. Oh, again, I didn't stay in either of them long enough to learn anything. It was more like a glimpse.
How long were you under? Do you remember? Like, how long did
I don't
she?
remember.
Okay. Did she tell you?
No, no,
Okay.
she didn't. But so Emily's lesson was an hour. So an hour
Okay. Okay.
is my guess, or somewhere around that, maybe 45 minutes, the going in and out.
And remind me again how you remembered. This this is this is just like you just held on to snippets of what you were viewing. Is that what it would have?
Yeah,
Is that safe to
literally
say?
like a dream.
Okay. Did you talk to her afterwards about what it meant, or what these
I just told her what
things?
I saw, and then that
Okay.
was it.
How do
And
you
then that was
feel?
it.
Like, do you feel like it's because this
I
is I'm
felt
very very curious because it just seems
so
to me that you kind of just dipped your toe in, pulled it out, but you didn't get to experience what that means.
no, what it did is it validated a lot of things for me. A
Like
lot of
what?
things that I believe to be true, which again is what then makes me question, was it a real memory or was it me just going into my imagination of what I thought life would be like? Because I've always, so when I was, from the time I was a kid, I thought it was Jewish. From the time I was like very young, there was a connection
Why?
with that.
Okay, okay.
I don't know. I have no clue where that came from.
She's
None.
a Catholic girl, people. Like
Well,
this
I'm
is
not a
why
Catholic girl, but
was
I was
raised Catholic
raised
and
Catholic. So
exactly.
I
So
have
this is
no
interesting.
idea. And I always related more to the Jewish faith as well. I had contemplated converting. I met David and I was like, oh, there's no point, right? Like, why would I?
Hmm.
And then Evelyn was doing a project based on the diary of Anne Frank. They had to write a diary. Evelyn decided she was going to be an Italian Jew. So I said, okay, you can Google and find an Italian Jewish person that was put into the camps because that's all online now. So she found one, and I come home and she's like, I found an Italian person that I'm going to use it. And I said, oh, what's the name? She said, Tedesco. Tedesco is the last name. I said, that's my great, my grandmother's name is Tedesco.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, there's probably more than one family of
S-
Tedescos, but
Still,
the
but yeah,
irony
right.
was just like it stopped me.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, if you need her name has to be Felicia then, because that was her name.
Okay.
But there were a lot of Jewish people that in Italy that converted to Catholicism
For
for their
safety,
safety,
absolutely.
right?
Right.
So that could have been where my family's lineage is from. I've never done 24andMe. I've never done Ancestry.
Don't either. Don't do that. It's just
No,
it's dangerous. But yeah, no, I
yeah,
understand. Yeah, of
yeah.
course. That's
But
interesting.
so that was very strange, and it kind of, again, it was like another wink. So my other thing with past lives, and this is when I was saying with kids, it's different. Kids are, especially when you're under the age of 2 or under the age of 4, I think it is. They say that you're still connected with your past lives. I'm driving Jack home from a
Right.
birthday party. He's 2 years old, and
Yeah.
we're driving home, and he asked me when he was gonna go home. And I said, "What do you mean?" I'm looking in my rearview mirror at him. I
Yeah.
am like, "We're on our way home right now, honey." And he's like, "No, no, no, no. When am I going back to England? When Emily was my mom." And
Oh
I look
God.
at him and I keep driving. And I was like, "Oh, well, we're not, honey." I get because I'm like, "What the
What's happening?
hell?" So
Uh,
I call the mom and I'm like, was there talk of England at the like of anyone going to England at the party?" And she was like, "No." Like, "What why?" And I told her why and she was like, "That is so strange." She just thought it was very interesting. But I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah." So, yeah. And he would say weird things like that. But when I remember going to London, and when I got there, and I'm walking down the street, and I
Yeah.
said this to my sister too. I said, it felt very familiar. It
London?
felt yeah,
Yeah.
London felt like home,
Mm.
which is why when I asked you about Italy,
Yeah.
if you went to Italy, if it would feel like home. And now I've
Well,
never been to Italy, so I can't say. I know my cousin bought a place there now,
yeah.
in the hometown where our dads are from. And she had said that when she went the first time, it felt like home. And
Well,
so,
I lived in London for a year. Whenever I go back there, I feel like it's putting on a comfy sweater.
mhm,
Prague felt like home. Japan felt like home. India felt like home. Um, those are the three places that I in Tenerife when we stayed there. That felt so good. And I don't know what that means from a past life perspective. I don't even know if you can
mhm.
even put that sort of moniker on that sort of comfort level. Maybe there is something to attach to it. Who
I
knows?
do think that there is. I do think
Hawaii
that.
felt like home too.
Oh,
That's another
really?
place. Yeah.
Yeah. I do
Oh
think
God,
that
yeah.
there is something about it. And it's not just like oh, this place is beautiful and I love it. It's
No,
like there's a
there's a feeling.
like where your soul kind of just like exhales and
Hmm.
goes, "Oh my god,
Hmm.
I'm home." Like
Yeah.
this is familiar. It's too I don't know, there's something
Just
tangible about it that you can't touch,
you can't.
which is
It's
weird because tangible and touch is, should be two things, but it's
it's yeah. It's there's a visceral um feeling. It's more than
mhm,
just you're exactly what you just said. It's more than there's just you just feel like you belong in
yeah.
that environment. And I think I don't know if that's related in what form that would mean. You know, you
I
asked a
don't know.
question in our we usually do a for people that are listening, we do an outline usually in regards to what we want to say, just to keep it from us rambling.
Which we always
Which
do
we do
anyways.
anyway. But one of the questions was, who did you think you were in a past life? And I wrote down Indian nobility, which made me laugh.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, I put that in there. There's something there. Um, something's there, but it could be anywhere. Like I don't know why. There's just something. God, that makes it sound like such a freaking elitist, and it's wrong to feel that
Mhm.
way. But
No, no, no.
there's something. Could be any sort of something's there that I feel.
Yeah.
However, uh, the travel aspect makes me feel like that I was some sort of explorer. And although nowadays, whenever you read about explorers, it tends to be all horrific shit. It really does.
Yes.
They
Yeah, most
brought
of the explorers were like
awful
slave
people.
boats.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, geez, that is the joy and pain of getting older and learning more and more and more about our history and how
Yeah.
deeply, deeply troublesome and quite inaccurate a lot of this stuff that we've
Yeah.
been taught.
Well, and history that isn't handpicked.
Exactly.
School handpicks your history and
Oh yeah. So that's why I wonder if even with thinking about reincarnation and past lives is a form of escape from your reality into this world where there's no rules and there's no thought process. It's just what you believe and what you think, and where it's comfortable because
Mhm.
it is an escape. It is an opportunity to reimagine and reinvent in certain parts, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong in thinking that part, because again, our there is so much of our world that is rooted in this whole concept of reincarnation. Egyptians, for God's sake,
Yeah.
I mean, pyramids, pharaohs, just tombs, just their history alone is completely revolving. I shouldn't completely base that on that, but it does involve a great deal of that belief, the
Mhm.
gods and what they believed back then. And I think now it's been removed, don't you think, Connie? Like that concept of coming back as something else. There's been maybe just for our culture, maybe for North.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, I don't
no,
know.
definitely it's been removed,
Yeah.
and you can't think that way. You
Well,
can't.
yeah. Well, because you have Christianity
Yeah,
being the,
and
you
science
die, you go to heaven, and then that's it.
and science, which is taught to believe in facts, and which we should believe in because
Well, I
science
don't
is
know if
there.
science has anything to do with reincarnation. I don't know if they.
Well, no, what I'm comparing it to is, since reincarnation is based on spirituality and science is rooted in reality and facts, that's why I think more people would run more towards science and say, well, that's not really believable because this is what
Mhm.
we know. This is what we know
Well, this
based
is
on
our
this.
current reality. Yeah.
Right. So uh, I just think it's just such a gray area. And there isn't enough research and enough information out there for people to get a good grasp of what this
Mhm.
means, because it could mean so many different things.
Well, I know when I was talking to one of my friends, who who had said, and I felt the exact same thing when we first met. She goes, there is a connection between us. Like I knew you. And I was like, and I was so glad she said it first because I was like, I am kind of cuckoo thinking that I know this person that I just met.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there was some kind of connection. And when I told her, I said, "That's so weird. I thought the same way." And then we started talking about past lives and stuff, and but I was so glad when she said that she felt this. And I felt that a few times with quite a few people, and I think that's why we latched on
Connected.
with each other right from the beginning. Like, right from the just seeing each other, it was like it's like as if our souls were like, "Oh my god, I get to see
And
again." And
it
I
wouldn't
know that
stop.
sounds crazy for some people who do
Does.
not believe in any
Absolutely.
of this, right? But I think when our s when so I heard something the other day
Yeah.
that I was just like, "Oh, maybe." Uh, so we've always believed that our souls are inside this human vessel. And they have said that now in some kind of, I don't know, some kind of scientific research that they actually do believe now that our human vessel is inside the soul. And we have this um energy field that is around us, that which is our soul, and the human part is on the inside, which is why when somebody goes to sneak up on you, you can feel them before they touch you.
Yeah.
And there's certain people that you do that more with
Right.
than others, which is why, again, though, when we see somebody that we recognize or that our soul recognizes, there's that
Connection. Energy.
connection. There's that, it's like an energy. It's like our soul is being tickled
Yeah.
because it's so happy to
Yeah. It's easy.
recognize and
It's yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
It's an easy. It's and I think that feeling cannot be what's the word, downplayed.
quantified.
It's
Oh,
or downplayed too, because
yeah.
I do think that it means something. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to mean it's important to understand and recognize that there are those type of feelings and they are real and they do
Yeah.
exist for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We can call this as part of past lives or whatever it is, but it's there.
Mhm.
It is around the world. Human beings are not just we're not as simple as people like to make us out to be. There's much, much, much more to humanity than what we're presented. But I also
Yeah.
think that the reason why it's presented this way is because it's all we can handle. And
Well,
and
yeah.
and if you go past a certain point, there is definitely absolutely resistance because of fear, and fear is
Although maybe it's
prevalent.
all that we can handle within the confines of what we've been raised within. Maybe if
Hmm,
we've been raised in an environment where everyone is aware
right,
and accepting of that, because I mean, in North America, yeah, most people do not think of past lives. They don't
right,
think of anything. They think of their one belief, their one faith as being that's it. That's all. And that's, anything outside of that is wrong,
right,
right? As opposed to being open and accepting. Where if you were raised in an area, say like in amongst Buddhist people or amongst
right.
Hindu people or amongst anyone who believes and accepts that this is the way it is, right? I think maybe in North America we're more
Closed-minded to some of this stuff.
right, right.
Yeah,
So it could be that.
there's so many things you realize as you get older about being North American and realizing just how cut off in some respects you are um, from the rest of the world.
Right.
There's definitely some exceptions that have been made to growing up in this environment that is not prevalent in other parts of the world that
Mhm.
they share that
Yeah.
we don't, and
No.
it's quite isolating. And you're
Yeah.
seeing it. I see it way more as I get older than I thought, and obviously travel opens your eyes to
Of
realizing and
course.
recognizing, right, just how different we've become over here. Um, but it's also good to know though that this topic, I mean, isn't something that is just kept to a certain part of our society. I think showing up in films, like I went online just to check and see where it's been
How many films?
yeah, and there's been quite a number. And Dead Again, I don't know if you ever watched that film with Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson, but
Yes. Oh my god, I love that movie.
I will say, when it's made, when films are talking, and North Americans in particular films, I find that a lot of them are rooted in this could happen, but watch out. Was it's not just movies? Like there are a number of celebrities that actually do believe in reincarnation. One of them I actually looked up. It was Stevie Nicks, and she said in an interview in 1982, she said she believed that she lived as a monk, citing her weak neck as a result of years of prayer that monks have done, which was
Mm.
fascinating. I don't know. I was fascinated by that. Tina Turner believed in reincarnation. Shirley
Oh,
MacLaine is
Shirley MacLaine's like
infamous,
the yes.
infamous for her. I mean, and that's the one thing that I also find has been prevalent here in North America is that reincarnation is seen in past lives is seen as a joke. It's always a
Yes, and they
punchline.
made a huge joke about her.
Always she is always a punchline when it
Yeah.
comes to that. And I think also because of
Again,
that,
it goes against that Christian value of
absolutely. It
death, heaven, or
absolutely.
hell.
And you're a freak or a weirdo for wanting to delve into a potential a different idea that doesn't quite fit in with a rigid formula. Once you're dead, that off you go to angels or if you're unlucky hell.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's it. And there is a much bigger world out there. And even like who else did I find here? Richard Gere, he's a practicing Buddhist.
Oh, really? Yeah, he is
Yeah,
a Buddhist.
that's right. So he believes in that, absolutely. There's been some of the most well-known faces out there do believe
Right.
in this. Of course, again, it's probably more of a minority thing. Prince Harry, it's another one, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think what did he say here? He revealed on Stephen Colbert that he had hoped to come back as an elephant, but I'm not sure if that was a joke or not, because you never know with Stephen Colbert. You just don't. But
That
but
sounds
it's
like something that a child would say.
right. But I actually believe that he's more open-minded about these things because royalty, they're an entirely different entity altogether. I mean, I'm sure even
Yes.
Diana probably believed in reincarnation too.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it makes more sense that he might kind of want to go down that road. He's a
Yeah,
very big believer in wellness and mental wellness, and I'm not surprised if his mind is open to all sorts of mental awareness that most
right.
people would reject, right? So, but yeah, it's just an interesting list of people, and it makes you again wonder why this concept. I mean, for somebody, and even for me, like I went on about my antipathy towards psychics and that era. Why should this be any different? I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
why. This is a different
Maybe
area for me.
because it's looking backward as opposed to looking forward. Like a psychic is predicting what the future
Future
holds,
is,
where past lives are something in your past that you obviously you're not going to go back on. Um,
or maybe yeah, maybe it's about connection or trying to find a
yeah.
reason for yourself. Why am I here? What
Mhm.
did I come from? What is it that I maybe it's just this gigantic question of trying to figure out who you are. And that's,
Yeah.
an ongoing journey for a lot of people. For me in particular, it really is.
Yeah.
Um, maybe that's part of it too. Who knows? You're right. Maybe that could be it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and a lot of past lives, a lot of people who believe in past lives also believe in karma. So you have this karmic energy that now you are answering for in this life from your past life. So what is it that happened in your past life that, is giving you good or bad karma?
That's a good question too. Like, yeah, I mean, even
Like you
when
see the wealthy or the wealthy person and they were wealthy and greedy and everything, and then they die, and then they're reincarnated. There's so many stories of these, like little
yeah,
fables or whatever, where when they're reincarnated, they come back and they're poor and sick and struggling,
right.
and
Right.
they're like, why me? And they were like, well, because before you were the one that didn't want to share your wealth, you were greedy and gluttonous. Well, we know what's going to happen to Donald Trump then.
God, we can't escape him. Oh God,
No,
yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean,
got to bring him up
it's
every time.
oh my god, no escaping him. I told you he's a virus. But it also could be, you know, I sometimes even look at my own health, and there's certain
Mhm.
things that are deteriorating, and I think, well, maybe I wasn't meant to. Which sounds horrible when you say it out loud, but of course, your mind is your mind, and you can say what you want. And
Right.
this is what I think. Sometimes I think, was I supposed to be this on this planet for this long? Maybe this is the deterioration. But whereas before I had passed earlier or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's all
Mhm.
all related. And I know it might be upsetting to hear that, but it's all part. There is nothing inherently unhealthy with discussing every aspect of your life. And that includes your time on earth. How long you're supposed to be here? What's your time limit? Everybody, you can talk about these things without it being oh, you're being negative. It's not that. It's just curious and curiosity.
Mhm.
And I think this is part of it. Part of it, anyways. That's
Yeah.
that's what
Well,
I think.
you're trying to look for answers, right? Like
Right.
why. That's the biggest. I think that's the biggest question in life is
I
why?
suppose.
Why this? Why now? Why
Yeah.
are we here? What is our purpose?
Yeah.
All of
Why is
that.
this tooth coming out of my mouth? Sorry, I've been playing with this thing. It's driving me crazy. It's a stupid like I had uh you know,
A crown?
crown put in and it's like I'm playing with it as we're talking and it like maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I have a feeling it's gonna come out. And last time it did, oh my god, it was so painful to put back in. Sorry, that was a complete off the topic thing. That's the joy of doing this type of thing, you mentioned. And this would be the joy of our conversation because that's exactly what we'd be doing. Things that kind of happen on the off the side there that come into light.
Exactly. That's why we need the outlines
Oh,
so
yeah.
that we
Yes,
stay
that's why.
on track. So many things derail us all the time.
But that's okay as long as
In our past life, we were probably 2 little best friends that were
Oh,
constantly getting into trouble.
yeah. But we didn't. We were good kids, sort of.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In
We
our
were,
past life, we
yeah,
were constantly getting into trouble, and
that's
now we
right.
just slightly derail each other.
Well, I'm wondering sometimes with some of our podcasts if we are going to get into trouble. There,
I
maybe there's maybe there's an attraction to it because we did back in everything. You're right.
exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
We were mischievous little
Exactly.
buggers.
Although under the guise of we're good kids, you know, that's not good. That's gonna get big. What did they say here? Koreans call it inyan, and it's the Korean Buddhist belief in connection or destiny. And I like that. I like that word.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, this is a fascinating topic, but it's hard. It's so big, and
Oh,
in
there's
it,
so much to it, right? Like,
yeah,
there's so many different layers of
that's right.
belief and where it can go. Um, so I have here I my question is, if you could choose any time period or identity to have lived as in the past, what would it be and why? Or if you feel a connection to any. Now, you did say an Indian royalty.
I did mention that, but it could be any sort of that nobility. There's just I don't know. Part of me laughs because when you look at the past and you're looking at old homes, and I've had tours in Vietnam and some other places that have shown me royal households. I used to think, oh my God, these places are so tacky. I don't feel comfortable here at all. This is not me. But um, I don't know what I could have been or what
Mhm.
I could see myself. I only threw that out there because it's just my love of curry, and I maybe it's limiting it to just one aspect of it. However, having been
Right.
to India and experienced the beautiful, beautiful culture and the land, and oh, it's glorious. It is a glorious country. Yes, there are
Mhm.
problems. Yes, there are poverty. Yes, you
Yeah.
get to see all of it. But my God, uh, I wish I could have stayed a little longer. Um,
Mm.
it really had that much of an impact
Yeah.
on me. Just being there is something just magnificent. Same thing with Japan. Maybe there's a past life in there. I don't know, but
Mhm.
being immersed in that culture was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I, there are just no words to put into play how wonderful it is to be in that environment and feel like you should be there. And I think maybe somewhere in there I could have been one or the other. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been
Yeah.
to Africa yet, so I don't know. Maybe I could feel that way too if I go to South Africa or
Yeah.
Kenya or Nigeria. They could
Mhm.
absolutely be there. What about you?
Again, like I said, my closest thing is I'm
Ju-
100% positive if I was anything, I was Jewish.
Jewish.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And I do think that I was in that war and probably definitely succumbed to it.
Which is it's incredibly sad.
Yeah.
That's it's one thing to identify with a culture. It's quite on a different level to identify it when it was at its just the most vulnerable, worst spot. One of
Yeah.
the worst, because no, there is no question that with Jewish history of the
Oh my
painful
god.
sacrifices that Jewish people have had to endure for
Time and time
centuries,
and time and time again.
centuries of shit
Yeah.
that they've had to endure.
Yeah. Smallest
So
population on this planet,
yeah,
and
yeah.
everyone's tried to get rid of them.
I mean, it's funny. You would think, based on my background, you'd want to be thinking about slavery and black people and African, your African roots, and there is absolutely a kinship to that. There's no question. Um, I remember watching, it was Coven, which is
Oh, yeah.
American Horror Stories, and it
The
was
best one.
yeah, it was, what was her character's name? Angela Bassett, sorry. And her
Yes.
character mentioning about, the only reason why we're here is because my great 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 granddaddy didn't run fast enough. And for me, it stuck to me, and I
Yeah.
thought that's exactly true. There's a lot of that. The reason why is because they didn't run fast enough.
Yeah.
Now, with my roots, they're Jamaican, so it's not quite the same, but it's still it's still rooted
Oh,
in
of
that
course.
past. So that past life of identifying, maybe because I've avoided it, is because of the pain and sacrifice that my ancestors had to deal with in order to come over here. And you've embraced it, which is interesting. Because
Mhm.
that is, maybe, you never know, Connie, maybe there is.
Yeah.
We just don't know. Unless, of course, you do your, genealogy and find out exactly.
Well, I know my mom did, Ancestry,
Yeah.
and she has, Ashkenazi
Okay.
in her background.
Okay.
So it has to be there.
Yeah.
In mine, it's in my mom's, right?
It's in there. Interesting. Maybe one day we should do an episode on genealogy.
On
'Cause,
genealogy. We're
yeah,
gonna
I could
get our
I could share
thing
some
done
stuff. I mean, I wonder if you can do that without it having to be related to an online company that would do that sort of
with
results. Because
seller stuff or go bankrupt and then just stuff it all out there.
God. Oh,
I think Ancestry is buying 23andMe's
really?
I think. I
Yeah,
can't
I don't
imagine,
want to
like,
do
what
that.
else where else would it go? Right?
I
Like,
don't trust those companies. I mean, that's why I'm wondering if there's like a private organization that has nothing to do with online world of stuff. I would absolutely, if anyone could recommend that, please let us know, because
yeah.
I'm not doing any online group that publishes and sends it to you via email, because it's you're asking for trouble, and there's already been
Really?
too many instances. Yeah, they say that, in the states, that health organizations can
Oh,
get records, and
yes.
insurance
Well,
companies, and
that's 23andMe, right? Because you can get your DNA, your
yeah,
health DNA done with it. With Ancestry, it's just your genealogy.
okay, yeah,
So I don't think that they do. I mean, you could pick, I
right,
guess, whether or not you want the other stuff done. And I mean, then you're looking at health
yeah.
insurances being able to deny you coverage because of that. Yeah.
This is the
No,
world we live
thank
in.
you.
The world we live in.
Yep. How can we make more money off of you?
Well, exactly. You mentioned here about children who remember their past lives. And have you come across that?
Why? With Jack. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Wow. Is he the only child that in your
He's
family?
the only one that ever did that. It would be very interesting to see what Jack would do or how he would feel going to London or England.
He's never traveled yet? He hasn't been there yet?
No,
Okay.
no,
Does he
no.
want
His
to?
plan was to go to Japan.
Good. Yeah. Highly
Um,
recommend it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he
Oh,
really
yeah.
wants to go.
It's an interesting topic. I'd like to learn a little bit more about it, what it means. Um, More importantly, just like even from a cultural perspective, how it affects other cultures. Not just
Mhm.
not just from a personal perspective. Just it's really interesting. I think. I think it's an underrated topic, but I'm glad we covered it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. But
yeah,
that's what we think about it.
it is.
You might think something totally different and think that this whole conversation was
It
crazy.
was ridiculous. I'm sorry if we wasted about 45 minutes of your life listening to us talk about this ridiculous topic. But we do like to delve into different things, so maybe this one didn't quite work, but at least we
And
covered
it
it.
was great.
Oh well, you know, it's all good. But thank you so much for listening to us with this one, and keep on listening to us, because we slip in a weird one every now and then.
Yes.
But yeah,
If we have to slip in the political ones, we can
oh,
slip in these weird ones.
absolutely. And again, I'm sorry for delving off into my tooth, but I'm telling you, something's up. I'm thinking, God, I don't have to go to the dentist. Anyways, okay. Uh, definitely keep on listening to us. If you've got anything to say about the show or anything else that we've done, please write into us at theconnieandsteve@gmail.com or Connie.
If you have any topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, you can add a comment at the bottom of this podcast that you're listening to either on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple Music, or wherever it is that you're getting your podcast from while Stephen is picking at his
Oh
tooth.
no, it's coming out. My
Oh,
tooth is coming out. Okay, great. So now I have to go to the dentist. Damn it. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you so much. This is great. I'll talk to you later. I love you,
so now
Connie. I
have a
know.
great day.
Oh
Love
God.
you.
Bye.
Bye.